going on, everybody, and welcome to Challenge Accepted. I'm Thomas, and I'm here with Frank.
Hey, everybody.
And today we are reacting to the new Mandalorian episode, Chapter 22, Guns for Hire. What do we think about this episode?
This was the most comedic episode I can think of for The Mandalorian. I was laughing a lot. It had three gigantic cameos. We brought back some of my favorite Separatist battle droids. This was just a fun episode. I know it's getting some kind of bad reviews because it wasn't what the episodes we've been getting lately, which are these big lore pushers.
Right.
I had fun with it though. To me, it actually felt a little bit more like a Star Trek too. So like new world with new rules kind of thing. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, you're right. Like it felt. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Star Trek, but the ones I have watched, it felt like this was completely new rules for this universe. Interesting. And I will say, I'm kind of going in blind a little bit to this episode. Normally, I do a ton of research after I watch them, but for this one, we're like right on the recording, and you're right. It was a ton of fun. The cameos just blew me away. They kind of came out of nowhere. This planet is cool. It has some interesting ideas. Like, dude, let's break this down.
All right, here we go. I'm going to do a 2-minute breakdown right now. I might not need 2 minutes on this one, but here we go. We're starting now. Bo-Katan and Djarin are starting their adventure to recruit the other Mandalorians. They're going to go for her group first. And so they go to this utopia-like planet, and it's called Plan ZR-15. I know I'm saying that wrong. This planet is gorgeous looking, right? But we learn quickly there's a lot of rules here, and then we find out it's a democracy mixed with a royal family. So it's kind of this hybrid new utopia planet looking thing. When we're there, we learn of a robot uprising that's currently going on.
Right.
They're malfunctioning. To me, I originally thought like, oh, this is an uprising. The robots are tired of doing all the work. And because they said like, oh, it's great. None of us have to work because all the robots do all the droids will do everything for us. Then you learn the droids are actually happy with how things are because they're not being forgotten. And if the Republic were to claim that planet, they would just decommission these old robots that were either separatist robots, they're battle droids, or they were Imperial robots, which are bad guy robots. We also learned that one of the two leaders of this planet, the one that married into the royal family and was the one that was elected, is an old Imperial that's in the whole like I'm a good guy now mode, played by Mr. Jack Black, and of course his wife is Lizzo. Of course, why not?
Yeah.
Head of security is Christopher Lloyd, and so they go on this adventure trying to figure out, okay, then who's turning the droids into malfunctioning machines, and it leads to the fact that it's Christopher Lloyd, who is a separatist loyalist, which is super old school, and you see it in the animation sometimes when all of a sudden they bring up a separatist again. Right. And so he was working on trying to create havoc upon his planet and get them back to the good old days. Jack Black and Lizzo are not having any of it, and in the end, Lizzo, who didn't know maybe Grogu was helping her cheat, she ends up knighting Grogu, and Grogu is now a knight, and Bo-Katan has the Darksaber. Oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah. Nicely done. Yeah, that was a nice clean version of it. We also get a little bit of the hint in the beginning that we see, what is his name? Something Woves. Axe Woves, who we saw in season 2 of The Mandalorian. He was part of Bo-Katan's crew. We also get to see, I forgot what the other Mandalorian's name is, but she's also a wrestler. Right here. I think it's Koska Reeves. And so we see that they have an Imperial Star Destroyer, and they kind of are guns for hire. They're contracted out by Plazir 15 to kind of guard that sector. And in this one, right off the bat, they're trying to, I don't know what the other race is called, but it was Mon Calamari, and it's like another squid race. So we have to look into it. If you know it, please shout it at us.
It's a sushi-based Romeo and Juliet story.
There you go. Yeah.
That is the same star. That one's a Star Cruiser, I believe, but it's because it's the smaller ones. But I think that's the one they got from Moff Gideon, which we saw at the end of season 2.
That would make sense. Yeah. That would make sense. And it's interesting. Did your mind automatically go to these were the Mandalorians that captured Moff?
No, my thought process was like, this might be, I thought this was going to be, this is the introduction of Thrawn. Because I'm in so full Thrawn mode right now. I was waiting, because even like from the shot behind, I was like, oh, his arms are white. Because like you saw him just in the chair, and it's like, no, he's in a Mandalorian suit. So I was a little bit disappointed by that. But yeah, it was cool. It was kind of, it was a great way to kind of show like, hey, this is going to be a comedy episode, because you had like these two fish people kissing, and it's like, oh no, we're from different worlds, and it's just, in the Star Wars universe, that's a bit of one of the jokes is that the two fish planets hate each other. And now you have these star-crossed lovers. And it's just
literally star-crossed, right? Like full Star Wars star-crossed lovers. So great.
So right off the bat, you're like, oh, okay, I'm not going to take this one seriously. Gotcha. we're not raising the mythosaur today. Gotcha.
Yeah. There was it was weird though, because there were like some intense moments, but we get to the planet and when they land on Plazir 15, it kind of feels a little creepy, right? You have those two droids that are like the dark version of R2D2 and C3PO. Yeah. And they're, very robotic, telling them, hey, you got to go to this Hyperloop. They have to check in with their digital IDs. Then they get into the big hall and it's like, we're having a party. And then it's like, boom, back down to super comedy with Jack Black and Lizzo.
I kind of got the vibe of Hunger Games. When you go to Capital City, it's like that, where it's like, hey, we've got it figured out for us and everybody else is doing our work for us. The difference is the oppressed people in this case will be droids.
Right.
And then, just immediately, as soon as you see Lizzo or Jack Black, you're like, am I even watching Star Wars anymore? What's going on with this? Jack Black looked dope as hell, and it was like mustache and beard done up that way. Yeah. It was really fun. I was just loving it so much.
You're right. Yeah, I know. It was so great. It definitely is one of the funnest episodes. Like Jack Black could just like read the newspaper and I'll laugh. And he's really funny in this one as well. But yeah, you're right. Like for a split second, I'm like, wait, is this Star Wars? Like, am I really looking at the right thing? And then Bo's having this conversation with him. And I was like, wait, that is, for a second, I was like, is that Lizzo? It is Lizzo. My mind was kind of doing some mental gymnastics. So I don't know if I caught all the dialogue there, but it was just a good time.
I'm like tweeting out like, holy cow, this is Jack Black and Lizzo. Then I look up like, wait, that's Christopher Lloyd.
Yes. Okay. So right. That's the other thing, right? So we get past that. Okay. Now they have a mission because of the Mandalorian culture where they get to carry weapons. Yeah. They can go out and, investigate this situation with the droids. Boom. Next scene. You're like, wait, is that Doc? Yeah. Yeah, and he's just some random at first I was like some random surveillance guy. I was like, dang it, the Mandalorian is the king of like taking top tier actors and just putting them in like C-list cameos in a way.
Yeah.
But then they
so while I was watching it, I was like, is this an SNL skit? Like where like sometimes you'll have like Tom Hanks just randomly pop up. Right. And I kind of felt like that. I really like this idea though, because the world they're setting up here, this planet, again, it has like so many rules. It kind of feels like DMV in a way. But it's democratically elected. And so there's a lot of things that were like, this planet has a lot of rules, but it's also really good. But there's not great moments here and there. But you're like, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? It's like this really complicated planet. I actually wouldn't mind visiting this planet again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Specifically, I want to see Jack Black and his shenanigans in the Star Wars universe. Wouldn't it be funny if like, if you guys are familiar with Steed, there's an HBO show really cool about like this pirate, and it's a true story. This pirate who's super rich and just like wanted to be a pirate, so he bought a ship instead of stealing his way onto piracy. And so he's like going around pretending to be a pirate. I want to see Jack Black do that in space. Like, make Jack Black the super rich guy that's like, all right, time to be my own lord, and like try to go take over the planets and fail horribly, and have to hire the Mandalorians to save him every time. Like that would be so great. Yeah,
he's like the most jovial Empire like person we've seen. It's like. And it's cool to see the amnesty program also reaches to these far out planets. And since he's like in the amnesty program, like what he's been able to do with it. But it is interesting to see this kind of factor. Like I haven't seen like this Empire person other than Finn where we're like, yes, you're awesome.
Yeah. And, like, it's great. And because he's in the amnesty program, they're not allowed to have a military at all or something like that. So
right. And thus that's why they need to bring in the Mandalorian. So it seems like there was this play of if we have our Mandalorian privateer security force on the outside and then we ask you guys to come in because it's part of your religion, you can carry weapons. Thus you can investigate this in case things get dangerous. So that's cool. And we also see, because this world is so democratic and the droids have pretty much taken over all of the main work and responsibility and people just get to enjoy life or chase what they enjoy. They don't know how to survive without the droids too. So I thought that was such an interesting factor where he was like, I could just shut them down, but these people wouldn't know how to exist, which later he uses to threaten them, and say, hey, I'm still a separatist. Count Dooku is the man. I'm going to hit this button if you try to take me in.
Well, when you think of how the separatists work, I mean, their military was all droid. So like clearly they embraced droids. And it makes sense that this planet was a separatist planet. I really liked how when they go down there, again, this thing's a whole comedy, but we have Din Djarin just like kicking battle droids, trying to piss them off.
Right.
I keep waiting for Boston Dynamics to do this and like get turned on. But yeah, he's just like knocking down droids until one of them kind of like gets mad and knocks him out and then runs. And it's like, that's the bad one. And it's like, is it? I mean, you were a jerk. So,
yeah. Exactly. But then,
I was worried that all the droids are going to turn on when he did that. And I was like, you're really, I've seen these droids before. That's not great.
That's honestly what I was thinking. It was like, eventually they're all going to snap. But then it's just one. And it makes sense later on because it's from a batch of empathy, I think they call it. And that goes even deeper. But, you know, the chase through the city was badass. Like, I really like that.
How excellent has I mean, we talk so much crap about CGI lately, especially with Marvel, but the CGI of these droids, especially when you compare them to like the old movies, like holy cow, these looked so dope. They looked real.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. The droids look fantastic. Even the way Bo was flying around in this one. And it was cool watching them run side by side because Din was way more ground-based, where Bo-Katan was using the jetpacks to get over things, dodge things. It was like, oh, that's a pretty cool way to use it. You know, it felt more Iron Man to me, which I liked a lot. But the special effects look great there. The only place where I feel like the special effects look weird is every time Grogu jumps into somebody's arm.
Every time it looks weird.
Right? Like, it's like, it looks so silly, and then everything else looks so good. It's I don't know. It's part of the charm, I guess.
It is. It's the reason people were like hoping that like J.J. Abrams would make things more realistic, but like we've said in the past, I think we could use CGI there, guys. We're fine.
Right.
Especially when the droids look that good. You're like, what could he look like now? Because we don't know what like Yoda fighting against Dooku or Count Dooku was so cool.
Yeah.
With this CGI, holy cow. Let's see what it looks like.
I know. That's going to be great. But we get this really cool chase scene. They're able to capture him. We go to a droid bar, which is interesting.
Immediately laughed at that. I was like, why do they need a bar? They don't need a bar. What the hell is this?
You know, long, hard days of work, man. You know,
this is like such an 80s comedy, man. It's like the droid bar. Like, I expect, like, this is a Futurama episode, really, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So funny.
What someone needs to do is take those scenes of all the droids in the bar and then just put the Cheers theme song over it.
Oh, son of a bit. I'm writing it down.
Where everybody knows your name. Like that kind of thing
bleep,
over
bleep,
it.
Bleep, bleep,
yeah, with the beeps. Yeah, exactly. That would be killer. But we learn, you know, their bars aren't like our bars. They don't have a variation of drinks. They all drink this one thing called empathy. And then they go to figure out what's in the empathy, and then they just dissect it further. And there's a batch that has nanobots in it. And then the nanobots have an inscription, and the inscription leads you to the origin. But basically, it can like rewrite the code in the robots or in the droids. So that whole concept to me was like, wow, that's detailed. And they're moving fast. I liked the pacing of this episode because it just
That's
like
a
was
great
like,
point. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like bam, 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 bam. Okay, here we are. Oh, this is what's going on. And then, sorry, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, no, it wasn't like a detective noir, but it was a really good pacing. I keep thinking of Star Trek just because it went to a new world and there was new problems, and they ask for this outside help. It happens a dozen times in Star Trek for sure. And while you're going through this world, you're waiting for like, oh, is it corrupt? Is it that it's this or some like staples of Star Trek. And so to see it here in Star Wars is really cool. And of course, one of the big things is like, oh, one person's betraying other people. Like that's a classic from Star Trek. So this felt like a comedy / a Star Trek episode, but the pacing was great. Yeah, we were going through it pretty quick. I, at multiple points, forgot completely about the army of Mandalorian outside the walls.
Right.
So it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was like the whole point, right? She says, "Hey, that's my fleet. Took a long time to build it." And then you get into the, like you were saying, this detective noir, and I was like, "Wait, what are we doing on this planet again? Like, what was the whole goal of it?" But they, are able to track it back to Christopher Lloyd, which gives this like really cool, tense, like, I'm gonna shut down all the droids and screw up society, and I'm a separatist, and Count Dooku was the Kim Jong-un of his leadership and loyalty. And but she's able to shoot him with, almost like the Black Widow spider bite and stun him, and then they bring him in.
Yeah, I like how she's like, politics. I don't want to.
Yeah. They did miss it like
Can
that.
I borrow those?
Yeah, I know.
Zappers. You know what? If you guys want really good backstory on Count Dooku, first off, he's an amazing character. He's super. Him and Qui-Gon Jinn, like their relationship, fascinating.
Absolutely.
I think it's called Jedi Tales, which is shorts that they put out. Watch those on Disney Plus. Very good job explaining Count Dooku and how
Absolutely.
he turned over to this other side. It was really cool.
It was really good. Yeah, there's 2 really good episodes. One with him and Mace Windu and him with Qui-Gon, and they're like,
Yeah.
those are some of my favorite episodes in that. So
Yeah.
good.
But yeah, so then we get back and Grogu's helping Lizzo cheat at some sort of game that they're doing, which was funny. And
Yeah.
I like how I don't know if Lizzo knew or not, but Jack Black definitely didn't know he was cheating, and he's like, "That's your best run yet." Like,
Yeah.
He
He
was
was
blown away
like,
by
"Oh
how
my-"
good she's doing.
So amazing. He was so amazed. And that was like amazing. Jack Black just being surprised and amazed. Like, just put that in a compilation for me and I could watch that over and over.
And people need to know how funny Lizzo is. I know I keep saying SNL on this thing 400 times over, but her SNL skits are outstanding. Go watch the Beanie Babe episode. Go watch her time with Please Do Not Destroy. She is hilarious. They have a running gag with the Please Do Not Destroy guys on SNL where she's like in love with one of them, and then like in another episode she does a cameo where she's dating one of them. It's so funny. She is hilarious.
Damn, that's great.
good to
I mean,
see.
I saw the Letterman show that he has on Netflix, and where he just spends a day with her, and she has like this just comical way about her, but she's so damn talented too.
Yeah.
Like all the music she makes, the way she can play the flute, I mean, just her journey to get to stardom is like phenomenal. I'm so stoked. I'm always on board with anything Lizzo.
Yeah,
And
one more reference. Then Seth Meyers does day drinking with her one time because he has this bit where he does day drinking,
Okay.
and they get drunk in the middle of New York, and he and Lizzo get drunk in the middle of New York and wander around checking shit out. And it's great.
oh my god, yeah, link that in the show notes. I'm watching that
There
next
we
for
go.
sure.
But then Grogu so 2 things happen here. Grogu gets knighted.
Yep.
Okay, sure. I like how he's not the one that solved the case. He's just hanging out the
Right.
whole time and gets knighted. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then the second thing, Christopher Lloyd, we learn, is loyal to the royal family and apologize. I love that because it's like we have a melding of 2 societies. There's the royals and there's the democratically elected guy
Right.
married together. And Christopher Lloyd, who's kind of the old man stuck in the old ways, is like, look, I see the errors of my ways. I'm sorry I betrayed you. And he's being exiled to a moon, but I just thought it was really cool. By the way, he plays a Klingon in one of the Star Trek movies. And today is First Contact Day. It's actually like the Star Trek holiday. So it's kind of cool to see him pop up too because he's a famous Klingon.
It's all coming together, man. That's
It is.
crazy. Jesus, it's all connected. But that's really cool. Plus, Bo and Din get the key to the city, and it's not like a little key. It's like a freaking massive, like a small shovel-sized key. You know,
I hope
where
he
are they
brings
gonna
it back
put
to the
that
armor
thing?
and its Beskar. I hope that's the case.
Oh my god, that'd be great. That'd be incredible. But yeah, I mean, it's a super ornate thing. The back end of it kind of looked like the Millennium Falcon to me, which I thought was kind of
I'm
interesting.
looking at that again. That's cool. I'll have to check
Yeah, it
that
was like
out.
really, really detailed. But you know, they get this key to the city, showing that maybe there's a partnership down the line with Mandalore and Plaisir 15, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And I think if Lizzo and Jack Black can come back, I'm so on board with this because that's so cool. Plus, this world looks awesome.
Yeah, that planet looks cool. It almost looked like it was more advanced than the rest of Star Wars in a way.
Oh yeah, I can see. You know when they capture the droid and then those robots come out, like the police robots, and they section out that area. I was like, that's super cool.
Yeah,
I was like,
or
really
like when they had to
badass.
like scan their ID badge and then they go through the subway system. I was like, I'm sure Coruscant has it, but for some reason it looks fancier here. And I think it's because everything's like in that apple white, you know.
yeah, that's true. And then those clear tunnels, everything looks like Hyperloop style.
Yeah.
But
The CGI in this episode was really, really good, and I hope
Absolutely.
other companies look at that. That's really cool.
yeah, then we finally see the moment. Okay, they are allowed to go see the offset of the Mandalorian security guards. She's like, okay, we got to go on foot. They walk up, and Axe Woves is, I'm the new boss in town. These are my ships. You don't deserve the Darksaber. You shouldn't. So she challenged him to one-on-one combat. An epic fight there too. I mean, just the way they were using their jetpacks to tackle each other. And there's one part where they tackle each other on one of the ships, and he like knocks her off, and as she's falling down, she grapple hooks him. That was super cool. I was like, what a move.
I'm trying to figure out the name of that group. I know it's the Owls. Is it the Blue Owls?
I want to say it's the Night Owls.
Night Owls. You got it. That's 100% right. It's on Sabine's shoulder.
Yeah,
It's the
and
Night
it's Yeah, and it's technically on Bo-Katan's shoulder too, and the other side she is now replaced with the Mythosaur. So she
Yeah.
had it on both shoulders. One got knocked off. Boom, Mythosaur now, showing kind of crazy that she does walk in two worlds: one of the Children of the Watch or the Way, and one of these people who consider themselves descendants of Mandalore because they have Mandalorian blood. And then
Yeah.
that becomes a whole argument, right? So we get to see the battle, and he's like, Axe is saying to Bo, "You shouldn't be fighting me. You should be fighting him because he has
Yeah.
the dark saber." Talking about Din Djarin.
I kind of okay. So I loved this episode. Did not take it too seriously, which was fun to have an episode like that.
Oh yeah,
But this part here, like when they did the whole like the before it started, I watched the recap because it tells you what's going to be in the episode,
yeah,
and they made sure to show that freaking saber passed from hand to hand to hand. And so I was like, oh, okay, so their reasoning behind Bo-Katan getting the saber is the fact that she saved him, which I know that the Facebook forums and everything like that has been full of people already saying that. Twitter's been full of it. Star Wars hasn't addressed it because they were going to in a couple episodes.
right.
I would have liked for them to find a different way or give the saber back to her sooner, because this whole thing right here felt like it was way too much explanation. Like it was exposition, like, oh, there was that
Yeah.
one thing, remember, we're gonna use this as an excuse. I get that it's real, but it just didn't feel good in the moment.
You're totally right. It really kind of like stops the speed of the episode because you're halted
Great
there,
way.
and
Yeah.
it's a great explanation for sure. Like at least we got an explanation for how she gets the dark saber because we all knew it was coming, but we're like, how is it gonna happen? Instead of her like having to prove it, maybe Din challenges her there, and she beats him. Maybe he doesn't try as hard as her, something. It's just kind of like, well, you did this and you saved me, and then see, you guys weren't there, but I'm gonna tell you what happened, and here you go. So you earned it. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, or
You
maybe
know, like-
maybe Din challenges one of the guys there that are at the watch, or at the group. He gets his ass beat for some reason, which I don't like the way that sounds, but say he does, and then she immediately beats that guy. I don't know. They're just there's all kinds of
That
ways
could have been a
could've
better
worked.
way to show it, though. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
I don't
because
know. Yeah.
yeah, it's basically Din explaining to them, and then they're having to figure it out, and then as an audience, we're watching it like, does that count? And then
Yeah.
while the night owls are thinking, wait, does that count? So we're all kind of confused for a moment,
There's all
and
kinds of like the rules on that blade are a little shaky. Like I've said it in the past, but Sabine actually got it from Darth Maul when he was out of the house. Like just took it out of his house. It's like
Right.
you didn't beat anybody for that. So there is a empty link in this whole chain right there. Darth Maul is the rightful owner. He's dead now in this point in the story, but he was the rightful owner the entire time Bo-Katan had it the second ratch. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, right. Like, so can you imagine? I mean, maybe Bo's first responsible, but then later on, Sabine. Like, maybe Sabine's the reason, or like, the fault of the curse of the blade.
Well,
You know,
because
like they're-
Sabine then hands it over to Bo-Katan without any battle at all.
Right. So,
So
it's
not
not.
only
It's not
It's
technically
Sabine's fault the whole
Bo-Katan's
time.
fault. It's Sabine's fault. Exactly. That's an interesting thought, right? But I don't see anybody blaming Sabine. I see everybody blaming Bo.
no, everybody loves Sabine. We're all waiting for her.
I mean,
to
she's
have another
badass. She's great. Definitely. So I know I want to see her show up with all that colorful hair. I'm like so curious to see what her hair color is going to be when she finally shows up in live action. But I'm here for it.
That Ahsoka series is straight up Rebels 2.0. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's on the Ghost, everything, and we already have.
Nice.
Oh, it's gonna be so cool. Cannot wait.
Cannot wait. But yeah, I mean, so she eventually gets it. Mando says, let's see, she defeated the enemy who defeated me. And then would that count? They say, yeah, it would count. And then, she returns it to him, and then episode over. So interesting. But we finally get there. Bo-Katan is going to be the Mandalorian that's going to unite all of Mandalore and then bring them back to Mandalore, and be this awesome, fearless leader, I guess. But
Yeah.
no,
Which is
how do you
what
feel
we kind of
about
always
that?
expected, really. To me, it's kind of like, yeah, that's the easy route. I get it. That's the one that makes the most sense.
Right.
I kind of wanted something a little. I wanted Din to be the one to do it, maybe, but this is the way that makes the most sense, realistically. If I wasn't trying to
It is
like
the
break
way.
the rules, that is the way.
Yeah. I think it. I appreciate it because we finally got to see it, but I in a little bit, in a small way, I feel like it was a little lazy, and I kind of wish that it was more an exciting path to her getting the darksaber back. I mean, she did earn it in a fight today, but it just was a weird kind of break in the relationship between Din and Bo. And what's cool about this episode is we almost get like this Rush Hour thing, or like Lethal Weapon, where they have like two different styles, right? Like, Din plays bad cop and Bo plays good cop, and so the whole time you got to see like their different tactics, which was awesome.
When they're fighting and they're chasing, to me, it reminded me of a video game when you have like a companion character, and Bo-Katan was a companion character that has like, how could you fly and I can't? I'm the main character of this game,
Right.
And it's one of those things where the entire time I'm like, he's definitely the character you're playing. She's the one that's got like some cool abilities. You're like, can I get that?
Yeah. Exactly. It's good. I know. I'm trying to think of an example of that. Maybe Ratchet and Clank or something.
Great example of that, actually. Yeah. Or Jack and Dexter. When you're Jack, you're like, yeah, it's cool and all, but for some reason Dexter gets some like big gun or something like that. And you're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah. Exactly. So any thoughts? Anything else about this episode that you really dug?
I'm gonna watch it again tonight, and then we're gonna talk about it more tomorrow morning on our Geek Chat. That'll be at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Oh God, I already am not looking forward to waking up that early, but that's what we're gonna do. Nope. And so with the second watch, I always find something new, and we'll have to talk about. Maybe the pacing will feel a little different, knowing where the break's gonna be, or maybe I'll see where Grogu earns his knighthood. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. We will. I'm sure there's going to be forums on forums of all the little things that are pointed out in this episode, and I can't wait to dig into it. Actually.
Yeah, and I hope that people still, while there's a lot of lore at the end of this thing, just enjoy a light episode. That's okay to enjoy a light episode like this. Don't have to like rain on everybody else. Of course, IGN's already dogging it. Really? I don't know who at IGN hates Mandalorian. They're already talking shit over there. That company is losing so much respect today.
Seriously. How could you hate that episode? This episode was great. There's
nothing to hate about it. I think they give it a 6 out of 10, which they've been giving 5 out of 10s for like every episode. So I guess they liked this one in comparison, but I don't know I've seen them give like 9 and 10s to some, like clearly they got paid by somebody's stuff. Whatever. I'm not going to talk shit, but yeah.
But we see an ad rating when we see one. Yeah. Or I mean, we can spot one for sure.
You go to their homepage and it's like turned into like a certain thing, like the Mario movie, just for an example, not exactly the case, but like all Mario movie stuff. Then like, the review. Oh, interesting that it got 9 out of 10. Interesting.
Yeah. Everybody else is like, 6 out of 10. Theirs is not. You're like, okay, but the Mandalorians of 5. Sure, IGN. Sure.
Oh man. Yeah. By the way, guys, if you're listening to this, the Mario movie came out today. I already have my tickets purchased for Saturday. And we're definitely all the Geek Freaks are heading out to watch it, and then we'll talk about it on the next Geek Freaks too. So we're looking forward to that.
Nice.
And I watched D&D yesterday, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I know. We gotta talk about that in a little bit as well. Which we definitely will. But jealous. I will be at DreamHack, kind of getting. We'll see what DreamHack is about. It's my first time, and I don't know if they've done it in San Diego before, but we've got competitive video games, we've got comics, we've got actors and directors and all kinds of fun stuff there. So I'm excited to check it out and share it with you guys probably beginning next week.
That's going to be cool. I can't wait to hear all that. That's going to be really good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
Aloha.
Bye.